what's going on is there is no space here. It's all interconnected right down to a subatomic particle. Let's just say, Stephen, what in Tao's name is a subatomic particle? Let's just say you can't see it. Let's just have a basic understanding of how powerful you are, that there is no space between Jade and I. Everything is interconnected. Imagine there are trillions of dots. When the people do not fear worldly power, a greater power will arrive. Don't limit the view of yourself. Don't despise the conditions of your birth. Don't resist the nature, the course of your life. In this way, you will never weary of this world. The sage knows himself, but not as himself. He loves himself, but not as himself. He honors himself, but not as himself. Thus he discards the view of his own self and chooses the view of the universe. Let that echo. Let that expand. Let that ripple into the very essence of all things. Realize all is one, one is all. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
Good morning.
Happy talk. Oh, happy talk. Happy day. Happy life. What was that song? There was a song. It was like, I think it was on some Minions movie. It was like the happiness song, whatever it is. I'll create my own. And I'm your humble servant and Sifu. That was Master San Quinn. Again, another miracle, another profound moment is this realization that we are here. We are present. We are one. We are all. Oh my goodness. Does it ever tire? You talk about, people turn around, and this seems to be more common for you and I when we talk about, this thing that is a measurement within the realm of man, a measurement of what exists or what doesn't exist, a measurement of what is in the present, what is in the past, what could be perceived as the future, is, space-time. And that, again, once again, I will reiterate to everybody, these are nothing more than your perception of your reality. But I will say this, moreover, understanding that if you realize that I meet you on a Monday and I welcome you with a good morning, and you're like, what day is it?
Mm-hmm.
You're having a charmed life. If you are trapped within the mind prison that limits your reality purely on the fact that you have compartmentalized it to every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year, oh my goodness, I think I just drained some energy from my life force just saying that. And again, we will reiterate, it is a perception of your reality. Nothing more, nothing less. Blammo.
Yeah, it is funny how when you're in a situation where you're waiting for something, time just seems like we were in a situation yesterday. We had to wait an hour, and that hour just felt like, oh, it felt so long. And then when you're in something, that you're truly enjoying, that time doesn't seem like it goes so fast. You're like, wait a second, how have we been here for 2 hours? We just got here, and that perception of where we put our value, what we put our value on.
And, that is summarized in how you perceive your reality. And then all of a sudden your intention is then controlled by either limitless or limited perception. Is where you start counting your minutes, your hours, your days, and oh my goodness, what is it? What's that TGI Friday?
Yeah.
It's good to be.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah, there you go. And so people just spend their whole existence literally working for the weekend, and then the weekend is over before it begins, and they just want the weekend to come back. Please come back to me, please. And this is a construct of their reality, circumstance, life experiences, how you've created everything that you know. And so, you look at mastery of things like the things that Jade and I speak of, the Taoist mastery of energy, and that inner working, that inner internal alchemy that we are masters of, that we transfer and share this sacred ritual information, knowledge that's been handed down for thousands of years within Taoism, and we've integrated it into a contemporary offering of an ancient practice, the Way 126. Visual audible experience, creating a kinesthetic charge, the validator to you that this is real. That is the go time. And when you come to that realization, my goodness, how profound life becomes. And so, time, space, time in of itself, understanding that, your perception is like, I get this all day, every day on social media. Big brain on Brad. It's like one of my students is like, oh man, where is that? Where did that come from? It's driving me nuts. And out of nowhere, just earlier today, someone referenced it. One of my friends. He goes, I know where you got that from. And I'm like, my goodness, I am a beaming light of pop culture. I love that stuff. I got to tell you, before Hollywood was disintegrated down to nothing more than a replication of some type of very restricted system that could be reflected on past historical shifts in a authoritarian sort of position. I'll leave it at that, but you can use your imagination on what I'm talking about. The reality is when Hollywood was golden, and so he goes, I go, what is it? I said, he goes, I know what it is. I'm like, go ahead, tell me. It just hit me. Do you know what it is?
I have no idea.
Okay. So he goes, it just hit me. He goes, Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. Big brain on Brad. And so, and I said, it took you long enough. If this was actually a competition in flexing your perception, your intellect, your elementary dear Watson moment, you would have failed. But
I have to say, I've never seen the movie though.
oh, okay. Yeah. Golden times, good times, must say. Definitely that is very reflective of the inner workings of Quentin Tarantino's mind. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but it was definitely compelling. I don't generally look at things like that. I just found it very entertaining. I enjoyed it.
It resonated with you.
Big brain on Brad, and it resonated.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about space-time. We talk about how people perceive this. And, we go over and over and over and over and over this. I have people that will literally come across our material and take a short that's chopped up from our hour and a half podcast and critique it and go, this doesn't make sense. You write it down. You're erratic. You're all over the place. Guys, let me be very clear and help you understand and know this to be true. People that come over our material either watch the long form or they watch the short form. Understand this, know this to be true. I have thousands, tens of thousands of people a day that value what we put out and how we share it because it resonates with them. And we go back to the foundations of how Jade and I share information with you. Remember, the student is the teacher is the student. Always remember that. The second you lose sight of that, you lose sight of consciousness, and then you become very limited. So, we have a situation where it blows my mind, but it's an exercise in the human condition and the limitations of the construct of your mind that's compartmentalized to believe you actually have a mind in of itself. So, yeah, big brain on Brad. So if you're a neuroscientist, a neuroplasticist, if you're a brain surgeon, if you're a cardiologist, if you're an almighty, all-knowing PhD-ish of whatever it is that you have focused on your attention, intention into one little myopic piece of what we would consider ultimate jigsaw puzzle that is complete, it's never lacking, it's never in lack of or in excess of. It is just the perfect flow. It is abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. And so when someone critiques something, and guys, just for all those big brain on Brad physicists out there with a PhD in a lot of stuff, understand this, know this to be true. 90% of all the stuff that you guys are flexing on is a hypothesis. Yeah. Chew on that one. Understand that one, know that to be true. It's a theory. Remember, you guys talk about this. I've got a theory. It doesn't work until it doesn't work. And so you use physics as a language to crunch numbers to give someone a perception of what their reality is because you're so concerned. What is physics in of itself? Human being and universe. Boom. The experiment, the realization, the exercise in qualifying, quantifying what that truly means. Just saying.
Yeah, well, there's such a difference between book learned and experience.
Mm-hmm.
You think about some of these kind of underworld operations are some of the best businesses, whether it's drugs or selling drugs or all of these kind of underground things. Well, I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure these drug dealers didn't go to MIT and get a business degree to learn how to run a Fortune 500 company, yet they're operating and running these.
Well, they're practical application of a network. It's like Amway for.
But I'm just saying.
Greater.
So there is definitely a huge difference between, learning something in a book that might work and then actually going out and doing it and seeing the success from it and having that realized. And just because you didn't necessarily learn it from that academic viewpoint doesn't mean that you haven't gained a wealth of knowledge through just personal experience, perseverance, and doing it in a real world kind of,
Right.
scenario.
No. I concur. I absolutely resonate with what Jade's saying because it's a perception. As we reiterate over and over again on this channel, let's be very clear. Everything is a perception. Consciousness in of itself, imagine this, realize this, because it's not coming from here, it's coming from here. Realize this, because you got a big brain on Brad right up in here in your truth teller. Know this to be true. That guess what? All of this is perception. Always imagine yourself, because we all have our own little signature. Everything has an energy, frequency, vibration. So she has an energy, frequency, vibration. Excuse me, Mame. Jade has an energy, frequency, and vibration. Taoist Master San Quinn has an energy, frequency, and vibration. This mic has an energy, frequency, and vibration. This floor has an energy, frequency, and vibration. This urn has an energy, frequency, and vibration. Everything. And now, grasp that in your little truth teller and project it out to the projector and let it ripple into consciousness that is everything. Use this as an example for you to realize it. Your perception, your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. And that is the beginning and end of all reality. And then you get the authoritarians that are like, oh my goodness, this guy he's radical. He's saying something like people could actually discern and decide what they believe is true and what isn't. Yeah, 1,000%. But guess what? What we're reiterating, what Jade was not alluding to, but was spelling out loud and clear just not 3 minutes ago, was it is a feeling. Mm-hmm. And understanding that feeling comes from the inner workings and the integration of the neurology of your physical body that attaches you to this physical realm and is the anchor for this spirit that is having a reincarnation right here, right now, realized into flesh and blood, the 50 trillion cells with 50 trillion atoms in each cell, delivering 2 trillion plus volts of electricity. And then when you become the master keeper creator of that harnessing of that energy, and then you come to that realization by listening to one of our podcasts, one of our shorts, and you are realized. You are the field is you. What does that mean, Sifu? That means that all bets are off. You are one badass individual. You have access to everything because that's the simplicity of it. It's nothing more than a level of consciousness. Your sensory perception is being developed as we speak. This is why we reiterate, you must feel it. Your identity, schmenity, whatever it is, you can take it on and off like underwear. This is where the neurology speaks to you that gives you that realization, creates the brainwave that makes it possible for you to be pliable within this field that we speak of that is instantaneous. Moreover, people have been rippling on, and I noticed this recently, this 0 point energy field, which is basically, we've sort of come to a place within our own viewers where I feel very comfortable that I'm now going to take it to the next level of realization for their own consciousness, because, I've been doing like, very simplistic sort of like construct to help people realize or understand the inner workings of their consciousness, i.e. related to physics, i.e. and when some people get overwhelmed with that, and I'm using, antiquated, dusty, old, Fred Flintstone concepts that have been done and dusted decades ago, but I still use it because guess what? Why do you use it, Sifo, if it's done and dusted? And it's not true. I didn't say it wasn't true. It's just like physics in of itself. It's a language, but guess what? That's where it begins and ends. And most of physics as we know it will realize to a degree. That's why you have cell phones. That's why you have the internet. This is application of a physics model, quantum physics model, realized in reality right now. You are integrating it into your very everyday life. Understand this. Everything else, how do we deliver consciousness? How do we wrap our minds around it? All I am giving you the tools for, Jade is giving you the tools, is just so you can level up, because there is a feeling. I've been doing this over 30 years, energy, frequency, vibration. There is a feeling, and there's a sensory perception shift that takes place when you move gears. And it becomes realized instantaneously when you're able to alter, and that's why we talk of 3 to 4 to 5D, where you're able to alter in a 5D reality, because we get you to just resonate with the imagination of, because it doesn't become real until you say it's real. So when we talk about 5D, we talk about everything is on. Now, that doesn't become realized until you validate it, until it's real to you, until this tuning fork, this truth teller, it makes it real. And that supercharge that she's getting, I'm getting, you're getting right now, that chill of, aha, oh, wow, this is real. Yes, this is what we speak of. This is what we reiterate. This is what we live for, to share people this understanding of consciousness that you have ownership of. You have the power to access this at will. Now, we use that dimensional model because you want to shift gears. Human beings are introspective, analytical, they're cynical in their nature. Default is fight or flight. So breaking that barrier for some people, their realization is that they've manifested coming across our channel, they've manifested coming across Jade or myself, and all of a sudden we engage in a dialogue where we activate their truth teller to a blammo realization. Holy moly, this makes sense to me right here, right now. I can feel it. Oh, absolutely, you can feel it. And that is the be-all or end-all of your reality. That's the thing that will dial it in or dilute it or refine it, will come from your feeling. And so we use the dimensional, but let's be very clear. I mean, 0-point energy, which is really basically getting a deeper understanding of the energy that is everywhere, the field that we talk about, the true understanding that, there is no space or time. This is just a mechanism that people have used to validate what is operating by putting it into a pinpoint of, this is another day. I can tell you right now, you can validate there's no space and time, because when you are grooving, when you are feeling and expressing and creating your reality, a week will go by, a month will go by. You go, oh my goodness, it was just January, now it's April. Because you are feeling your reality. You are experiencing your reality. You are manifesting. You are creating magic. You are creating healing instantaneously with that power that you possess, that you are infused with this 0-point energy, i.e. the field, i.e. the matrix, i.e. the oneness, universe, Buddha, God, love, Tao, Allah. However you perceive your reality, it is realized for you, and you're doing it already. So when you come back to us and we just validate what you already know, this is what we speak of. This is what Jade talks about, the practical, the realization, how, the Jade Emperor always says, when you have to learn it, you do not know it. If you know it, you do not have to learn it. Mic drop. Everyone's like, what does that even mean? You feel it. The truth teller speaks more volumes. The old expression, actions speak louder than words, is a rippling moment for you right now. And that is it. So when we sit down and we put our information out into the quantum mechanic realization you call the interweb, we put it out there to evoke a consciousness, a knowing, because that information is created for you right here, right now, to realize your power, your conscious, your knowing. And of course, when that vibration, if someone is operating at a lower vibration and they come across that information, it tends to transmute into, you're so stupid. I mean, the comments are priceless that I see on the internet, and it's just an exercise, an experiment in human nature, and an observation. I will ripple this. Let this ripple in your very consciousness right now. It comes right from the scripture. Cast the wicked away and draw that person closer to you. What does that mean, Steve? Oh, that sounds kind of freaky. Yeah, because that's what I do every day. I realize that the personality of the individuals that are spending their time drawing their energy from their very physical essence and imprinting it into a text to discard, to defame, to dismiss an individual on the internet, that takes effort. That you're drawing your energy from your life force. You are creating a cognitive spark which is realized within a thought, an emotion, and a feeling that is now drawing from your field. You're not raising your vibration higher. You are dropping it down to the DL. And guess what? Only person who is going to be deficient and suffering from that is the individual that engages in posting that information. And so I will say, at some point, they will come to their own realization of what they believe is true. Their truth is the only truth they need to be concerned with. So when they come across our material, they go, oh, you're so stupid, you're just crazy. Understand this, know this to be true. Your perception of whatever I say is your perception, and that is validated by you, and that's the only truth you need to be concerned with. I will tell you, having done this for 30 years, that if you're mindful of your true essence, the longevity of your physical body, I would just be aware that you are spending your life essence on the very task at hand to deliver a message into the web, and then having it realized on a page and having it be an instrument of your very thought process, which in of itself deflects and depicts a realization that you are a thinker, not a knower. And that goes right back to what Jade is talking about. You will feel it. And that's completely how they perceive their reality. And we must validate that as that is the only truth they need to be concerned with. But I will tell you, 30 plus years doing this consciously in this realm, in this reincarnation, realized in this physical body, you burn your energy source. And for someone to have a perception of their consciousness at that lower vibration, they will become realized that they are trapped in the construct of their what they perceive as their mind, their reality, their truth. And when you do that within the mindset, you create compartmentalized things. And this is where we talk about knowing and thinking. When you're thinking, you're not knowing, just as Jade talks about. And so why do you say, but Sifu, you said it's their truth. Isn't that what you always remind everyone of? And I'm like, yes, absolutely, it's their truth. I'm just creating an observation because I am here. Jade is here to help everyone all day, every day. We are here to raise your consciousness. And if that evokes someone to go, oh, you're so stupid. Hey, all that does is take a moment where they can take that information and because most of the stuff that we talk about that we know to be true, that has been going on for thousands of years within Taoism and only just recently realized in the last couple of months, last couple of years within the quantum physics model, that we know to be true, they're attempting to validate. They're attempting to validate things as simple as gravity, all the things that we already know to be true and can be summarized into the very text and the architecture of our realization that we are the universe is us, we are Tao, the Tao is us, that power is all-knowing. People look at this stuff and go, oh, I've known that for years. That's right. And that's profound. That's a conscious realization. That's where you want to be in your own journey. And you already know everything. You already have everything accessible to you. It's coming to that shift. So when they're talking about, people, have been talking years about the 0 point energy and understanding that realization, the source of abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite amount of energy that comes from the black hole, which is, they talk about the bending of reality using the construction of a thought, feeling, and an emotion that then turns into a cluster of matter that is being realized from wave, generated into this weight that then ripples the bending of reality, as Albert Einstein would say, that becomes the anchor. So that what's going on is there is no space here. It's all interconnected right down to a subatomic particle. Let's just say, Stephen, what in Tao's name is a subatomic particle? Let's just say you can't see it. Let's just have a basic understanding of how powerful you are, that there is no space between Jade and I. Everything is interconnected. Imagine there are trillions of dots. That's what you have to imagine. Trillions. I'm talking about trillions of dots everywhere. And within those dots contain this 0 point energy that they're talking about, which is related to the singular that we talk about as Taoist, which is the black hole energy. It's abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. And it comes from your truth teller. That's the gateway. And that's realized. And then it's transmuted and translated into other neurological pathways where you're using, we lean on basic neurology to give people understanding how it's interconnected from the heart to the brain. All that creating the gut feeling that is materialized, that is realized as that feeling. It's a signature, it's a signal, it's a synchronization of your truth teller with your projector, creating that realization. That's it. But that 0 point energy has always been there. I'm excited that you guys came to the party a little late. And, so what I was saying was, from now on within this channel, I'm going to speak more on that rather than everyone can catch up, because your consciousness will realize that. We don't need to go A plus B equals C. You guys get it. You know it. If you're here listening to this material, you have an understanding. Now, will I come back to that because people are constantly building the community of the way? Absolutely. Because I do not ever want anyone to feel as though they're not encapsulating and embodying what it is that we're sharing with them, because it's a go time realization. All this stuff is to evoke your consciousness. It's not to have your brain hurt, because I will help you out. If your brain is hurting, you are not realized as a knower. You are realized as a thinker. And again, to shift that as a Taoist, knowing there's two sides to a coin, one yin, one yang, you're coming to the peak of that, creating what is being. All is one, one is all. That realization, Wu Wei, which is effortless action that comes to that point. But moreover, to understand the true essence of where Taoists have been speaking on this 0 point energy. They speak of this energy that is singular, that is the tornado that is circulating within all these trillions of dots that are not visible to your naked eye, that is the glue, the plasma that holds everything together. You have this singular. So on a much deeper level, we talk about the death of a star, the ash raising the red phoenix up within your truth teller, which is the fifth energy center for a Taoist. That is power right there, baby, because that's when you are realized. That's when you turn on those 81 chambers of that middle dantian, and you evoke the frequency, energy, vibration. Whoa! And you've got your magnet for your truth teller, as this is energy, this is earth right here within you. You have the universe within you. It's all there. And so, with a little breath right now that I'm taking in a pause, I will look to my co-host here if she has anything to add to. You're just stupid. You're just rambling. I can't wait. I welcome the insight of so many people in their gauge of consciousness, where it might be. It might be at a ground zero or negative, and you're leveling up to get to those dimensions of consciousness that we speak of.
Yeah, it always makes me think of that saying, like, you're stuck in the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a conversation with my daughter yesterday, and she was like, how come it takes so long to drive to like a certain place? Like, why can't it be shorter?
Mm-hmm.
And I was explaining how when you fly somewhere or when you drive somewhere, flying is always faster because you don't have the obstacles of, the roadway, the mountain, the road has to go this way, it has to go around this river or through this mountain, or, traffic and all of these different, I was explaining it to her. And it's very similar to kind of this. When you're thinking, you're either walking or driving, maybe even riding a bike, but you're constantly dodging all these things. You can only go a certain way because the path doesn't go that way. Mm-hmm. You can only move a certain way. You have something in front of you. You have an obstacle. You have to deal with it. That's like that thinking mind. Whereas when you're knowing, you're so high up in the sky. It's like, I want to go from point A to point B. The fastest way to get there, great. Let's do it. Let's go. You're not worried about there isn't anything in front of you. There is no obstacles. You're not thinking about, do I have to go to the left, to the right? Do I have to go higher, through, under? You're just going, I want to get there, but bam, okay, I'm there. And it's like, that's that knowing. It's you're not compartmentalizing these little things of like, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? That's the thinking. And when you get to that point and you have that realization, you go, I'm already here. And it's like you kind of jump past that up the levels of consciousness, out of the weeds, and you start seeing everything around you, the view, everything around you, versus this really little tiny perspective of, I'm stuck down here and I have to dodge this, avoid that, think about this. So much easier to be up in the sky.
Yeah. And when you think about it, there are so many aspects of your reality that you're already manifesting. You're already doing all these incredible things, healing, magic, whatever. And the biggest, I would say, question that comes to us on a daily basis is, well, I'm doing it over here. Why can't I do it over here? Well, this is how you frame your reality.
Yeah.
And so you're all powerful. Understand this. You've created limitations. And so all we need to do when we come across dozens of people every day like that is your perception. I've got this object, and we're just going to do this. And you just move it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness. And that's consciousness, baby.
Yeah.
That's consciousness. And that's how you are able to shift your consciousness to a higher level. And then through the mastery that we go into, using moving energy with your mind, moving energy with your breath, that realization, that power is harnessed within those 50 trillion cells, within the 50 trillion atoms, within every cell, within that 2,000 plus 2 trillion volts of electricity. You have the master switch, because how do you navigate, as Jade said, or how do you realize? Let's just say you're leveling up your clear senses, because everything is sensory perception. We always talk about You have five senses. If you have five senses, you have neurology of a human being, you will be affected by the way 126. We remind you of that. Visual, audible experience, kinesthetic response, go time, that's a validator creating brain waves that makes it realized to you. And that's the only truth you need to be concerned with, is your truth. When you're harnessing this mastery of these 50 trillion cells, 50 trillion atoms, 50, 2 trillion plus millivolts of electricity, my goodness, where do we start or end? We have this rippling effect. I mean, the numbers really are astonishing, because you just stop. You probably find calculators that just can't add up anymore, because really, we're putting caps on this, and these are numbers that are created that are giving you a baseline. But the reality is you have infinite amount of cells, infinite amount of atoms, infinite amount of electricity that you generate. But once you master that, as Taoists, that's what we do, second to none against anyone on the planet of this earth as we know it, our affinity with the universe, our intertwining of that, our relationship that has gone back 10,000 years as we know it, as we materialize as generational holders of Taoist lineages. Let me tell you this, know this to be true. The mastery of the energy is the key to your realization of how powerful you are. Once you do that, your consciousness, whether you have a sensory perception that is more detailed, and your clairsenses will develop if you choose to allow them to. Whoa, Sifa, what? You mean I can be 1-800-psychic and set up a business? You can do all that and above. You can do anything and everything. Your consciousness is limited by your imagination, which you believe comes from your mind. No, it's your consciousness, which is everything. This is a projector. This is the truth teller. This is where everything comes from. And then you project it out there and you go, I got a great idea. Big brain on Brad.
Mm-hmm.
I'll remind you, all thoughts of your mind are not yours. Understand this, know this to be true. When you create the hurdles, the limitations of your reality, beginning and end. That's it. So when you master that neurology, that energy, let's move the neurology out of the picture. Just say, when you master the energy, you are all knowing, because that's the go time. You don't have to get compartmentalized. That's how quickly you can create magic, create healing, create manifestation. Even though you're like, hang on a second, Sifu, I was just in my personality, and in the same breath, I went to the source. I went to my truth teller. I was realized as the field, and I was able to create a healing that is just profound in of itself. You wouldn't realize what happened. Blammo. Because that's how it works. We're all moving faster than the speed of light. Mm-hmm. Your realization is slower than that. So anything to you is instantaneous. That's how it is. No matter what you do. Know this to be true. And so when these people get all caught up in, I have this piece of paper that tells the world I am all knowing in this little myopic little speck of the corner of realization of the human being realm of mankind perception of reality, you will be very limited. Now, if you showed me a piece of paper, I've got a PhD in I am the field. Oh, okay, I'm listening, because I dig that, I get that, I know that to be true. I want to hear that echoing loud and clear. You are the field. Damn straight you are. You get that PhD instantaneously. You get that knowing instantaneously. You get an extra infusion within your bank account because you didn't have to pay for it. It's all yours. It always has been. It's instantaneous. You haven't had to pay someone to tell you what you already know to be true. Just saying.
We should give that out with the way 26. Get your PhD. Get your PhD in consciousness.
Yeah. I like it.
Well, that's what it does. I mean, if you if you categorize a PhD into just learning in itself, it doesn't matter whether it's in an academic standpoint or a personal experience standpoint, or, you know, we work off of the feeling. Everything is a feeling. And so that's our judge of, are you absorbing this, learning this, shifting into this? And, you know, again, we have people who do it in instantly in a second, and we have people who do it in maybe a week or maybe a month or maybe a year, or come back years later and go,
I got you.
I got you. I got that. It took me a while, but I got it.
Yeah, you went out for a sandwich and you came back 5 years later.
Yeah. And it's all,
It's all your own journey, your
yes.
perception. I always remind it, and just as my divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade, reiterates, you can be realized in a fraction of a second. That 0 point energy that we talk about, which is the black hole energy that is abundant, that is within everything, that is everything, can be realized instantaneously. That's how you create the manifestation, magic, and healing.
and I won't even say that people don't feel it. I would say at least everyone has felt it.
Well, of course.
Now it's getting to that point where
That's where the mastery comes in.
the mastery, I feel it when I want to feel it.
Exactly. And that's what
And they
we
have
share.
felt it, and then they go,
I want that back. I need it.
wait, where did it go? I want it back, you know. It's like you feel it when you want to feel it at will, under your control, going just like, you know, turning on a button to something, and it boots up. It's there.
Yeah.
You have it.
Yeah. And so know this to be true for all the quantum physicists or physicists in of themselves, or anyone that's wrapped in science and the boundaries of that, realizing that that's how they perceive their reality. That's how you perceive your reality. You know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. Understand that. Know that to be true. That is your realization, and it is valuable. It is so valuable. It's the most valuable thing that you can recognize. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with, and I realize that. I value that. All I am sharing with you is another level of consciousness. So you're looking at my hand like this, and I go like this. Oh no! Wow! It's completely different. You betcha it is. And that's what consciousness is. So if you go in the model of dimensions, dimensions, whatever you want to call it, blah, 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 9, 27, 36, 54, 81, 126, there is no limit. But I will speak on this and know this to be true from a practical application and knowing my truth teller, what I've experienced over 30 years, and I know this to be true. As you harness the energy that's inside the 50 trillion cells with 0.07 millivolts of electricity accumulated within each cell is 50 trillion atoms accumulated within the constant realization of all that is trillions of volts of electricity at your disposal, at your desire, your will, your attention, intention to manifest, to create, to heal, to craft magic. That's happening right now. And that, when I do that, people are like, man, I really look forward to your posts. They just inspire me. They fire me up. That's exactly what I'm here for. I want you to have a realization of how powerful you are. Jade is here for that exact reason, for us to help you realize your internal power that is accessible 24/7, 365, all day, every day. And again, we're just rippling back to time and space that doesn't exist. But hey, you need to have some kind of construct. What I was speaking on earlier with the time and space model was space-time is human beings need to start and finish things. So with that construct, if you're starting at that baseline, we will give you dimensions. We will give you an angle that you can, the old expression, sink your teeth into so that you can start leveling up. Boom, 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 boom. And before you know it, you will be just like me, screaming into the camera, telling the world how powerful it is. No, I'm just kidding. But understand this. You will have that realization, and it will not be true until you say it is. That is the power. And that comes from the feeling. That comes from the mastery of the energy. That is why you are here, because what we're saying you are resonating to. It's not the PhD in consciousness that we're talking on. It's the fact that you resonate with the very essence of the words, the numbers, the symbols that are transmuted into the realization that you're having when you hear this, you feel this, and it goes into the core of you, because all that is in the DNA, the very essence of who you are. And that is why you are here. That is why you are experiencing this. This is why you're feeling it.
Yeah, and that's why we created the app the way we did create it, was a system where you did feel like, ooh, I unlock this, I completed this, I give this training. Because like I said, we do have people who will do the first day and they'll instantly just
Turn everything on.
Everything on, and then it just expands from there. But it's a good baseline for people to, again, we've created a certain system. You get a certain microdose amount so that you can kind of do
regulate at a progression.
Right. You do that progression.
Instead of us just like turning on
or giving you the ability to, like, here's all the information, take it at will and play with it when you want to.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's a start, there's a finish, there's a completion, there's a duration, there's a progression in all of it, because that's how the human neurology is structured. That's how we function as humans. We want to start something, we want to finish something, we want to feel accomplished, we want to feel successful, and it's all put into place, as we've mentioned so many times before. Nothing goes to waste. No color, no number, no word. Everything is in a place for a specific reason, and you will feel it.
And very good. You will feel it. And that microdosing that Jade speaks on is each energy center is opened from week to week. And it's just enough for someone who, if you're a mastered guru meditator and you've leveled your consciousness up, you're going to shift into this. It's going to open up and realize a much deeper understanding of each energy center and have a complete different fluidity that you've never had before with the universe. I promise you this. Know this to be true. And whether you're a master, guru, or you are John Smith, the janitor at McDonald's, you will feel it, and then you will level up from week to week. That's why it's a progression. It's very important that we progress you and open those energy centers at a pace that your conscious, unconscious combination of the two is realized. And guess what? No one knows you better than your truth teller. So when the truth teller is exposed to the material we put into the Way 126, it goes, okay, I got you. I'm going to work with you on this one, and I'm going to give you the dose that you need right here, right now, instantaneously. And so nothing is ever left to waste. Nothing is ever too much or too little. It's just perfect for you right there, right now.
Yeah. And I think that's why, you go on a little bit of a rant. I get on my own rant about it too, is we talk about everything is perspective. And so when you go to these, whether it's like a MD doctor or even a PhD or a psychiatrist or a therapist or whoever, and they give you these kind of end all be all, oh, this will never change for you. You won't be able to do this. This is too hard. All of these kind of very limited constructs. Yeah, that's their perspective, and that's one perspective. That is not the truth. If it is not coming from your truth teller and your connection and your realization, just realize that that's a perspective, and that's their perspective, and that can be their limited perspective. And for this kind of authoritarian to deliver a message like that and have it embed in somebody frustrates us, because that is only a perspective. And when you're working with someone who holds on to that or takes that as truth, it's like these are where these limitations happen. And we get back to the epigenetic model all the time, and it's like it is really so valuable to surround yourself with people who uplift you, who give you that kind of positive encouragement or enforcement, and don't limit you by their own limited perception, because that's all it is. It's just a perception. They're looking at the object from this angle, but that doesn't mean that they can see the back of it. That's a completely different thing. And so, when they do kind of make these end all be all statements, diagnoses, kind of things about you yourself, don't hold on to that. Realize the best person who knows you on any type of level is you. Once you connect with that truth teller and you feel it and it's aligned, that's the messages and what you need to be listening to.
Well, and that's why people will go to and get what they call another opinion.
Exactly.
Because they, guess what?
Alternate opinion.
Yeah, guess what happened? Oh, I don't like what they're saying. I don't feel that. I want to go somewhere else. What did you just say, Sifu? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not feeling what they're saying. I'm not aligning with what they're saying. Yeah, because you don't feel it, or it doesn't feel good to you, or your truth teller's telling you, move right along, find someone else that will align with your energy, frequency, vibration, and then you're like, oh, this feels good.
Yeah.
Whatever this person is telling me now, I align with, I resonate with, my truth teller is validating for me, this makes me feel good. And that's the most important component to everything. And so when you break everything down and compartmentalize everything, that's where you get a little, I guess, as Jade would say, in the weeds. So realizing that, knowing that to be true, perception is everything. It's the only thing. It's your truth and the only truth you need to be concerned with. Be all or end all. Beginning to end. Up and down, in and out. Yin and yang. And so the realization, the most powerful thing when we talk about the 0 point energy and everything is interconnected, that just imagine that what you can't see with your naked eye, there are trillions, quadrillions. I mean, an infinite amount of dots that you cannot see with your naked eye that is interconnected with this 0 point energy, i.e. the singular black hole energy that is realized for Taoists as the death of a star, the raising of the ash, the red phoenix, that singular power, that oneness of the red phoenix, the truth teller that gives you everything you need to hear, right now, and is never wrong and is always true to you. That's the most powerful thing. And you have access to that information instantaneously. All day, every day. And so no one's going to know what's better for you than you. And so you get to validate that, and you use it through the mastery of the energy. But the Taoist secret source is between the breath in and the breath out lies the Wu Ji. That is the stillness which is inside the singular, which is the infinite energy that they speak of, the event horizon that is the rippling edge of what they call the black hole. That is what the Taoists have known for thousands of years and have been accessing at will. That's the mastery we speak of. So the Wu Ji is the ultimate. The Wu Ji is everything. So breath in, breath out, yin and yang, is where you find the stillness, the realized wholeness. I'm going to hold my breath right now, Sifu. I'm telling you, that becomes realized. That is not just, anecdotal. That takes place. Like, yes, if you do hold your breath, there's an infusing of energy that's instantaneous that takes place. And anyone, over all my decades of teaching people, there's this connection, because this interconnection of these infinite amount of dots that have all this energy that makes it one, that you are one with everything, comes on. It's like, what do you mean? It's that simple? Yeah. And so when you master the neurology and you're like able to turn your Christmas tree on and off like this, profound things take place. So going through all the things that we've gone through today, I think because my motto on this channel is, we're not a don'ter, we're a doer, we're a shower, we're a realizer of the truth as we know it, that is the oneness, that is the whole, that is the singular, that is the field, the matrix, the universe, the Buddha, Tao, God, Allah, who have I left out? Jehovah, whoever it is. That realization is going to be present to you momentarily, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies. And just as I speak on it, guess what happens? Yeah. You start to feel the energy, just as you already know. Okay. Genuine, you want a duet or something like that, brother? So, kind of crazy like that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting. So, this is a real basic Taoist, and so we've spoken on, and we haven't gone into detail, the primordial breathing, the embryonic breathing that we've spoken of. That is it's almost like a classic from the Yellow Emperor canon for transmuting chi and transmuting it with the breath, how powerful that is. It's an instantaneous realization. And so we've had many exercises. We've gone over the last couple of podcasts. But, we're feeling it right now. It's understandable. That's how quickly we're in tune. And so realize everything is wave. Everything has energy, frequency, vibration. Everything is the infinite amount of dots that is the plasma, that is the reality that is interconnected with everything. That's the truth right there. Oh, yeah. And so, to leave you with another little exercise, as I want to lean on my delectable divine co-host with any more insight before we do this exercise, and probably, float off into another dimension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to share in closing?
I think that we went over a lot with time and space and how it relates to everything, and perspective and consciousness, and it's always evolving, it's always changing. You could just think back to something that you started that seemed very hard in the beginning, whether it was like first learning to drive or first learning, pottery or basketball, a sport, anything that you can kind of think of that you've put a little bit of time into. If you can reflect back to that very first day or that moment and you were like, this is impossible, I'm never going to get this is so hard, how am I ever? And now, 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, 10 years later, whatever it is, it's easy. You don't even probably think about it. It's very habitual. It's very ingrained in you. It's very effortless. And that progression is very paralleled with kind of your consciousness, with energy, with everything else. You have a starting point, and then you just keep growing and evolving, and it just starts being a part of you. And this is all we're trying to share, is how powerful you are, how much information you have, all the tools that you have. And now we're just unlocking them one little click at a time and letting you go.
Oh, yeah. So, we're badasses when it comes to energy, second to none. We are the masters. Now, this has come from thousands of years of realization, our interconnection, our complete affinity, love affair with the universe. It's as we have realized from the get-go. That's an interesting expression. That universe is us, we are the universe, the interconnection of that, and that it is inside you, basic, fundamental, classic experiences like the microcosmic orbit that activate, the energy, the universe inside you. And we've talked about this, and, we're feeling an amplitude of energy. That's because once I put it out there, you cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unfeel what you have felt. That's a nice one. I like that one.
Yeah.
And that is the truth to everything. So, any closing, or are you kind of like pretty?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Let's get
Yeah.
into it.
And so, basically, we have an affinity with 9. So does the whole universe. And you can talk to people that have realized this numerology time and time again. Famous people over the history of mankind that dates back to hundreds of years ago, or something more recently in the last 100 years. In any case, the numerology is key. So now, by just the realization of this, the rippling effect that just took place, we're going to interconnect your upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian, and using the respiration, we're going to generate a cluster of wave to matter that will be realized instantaneously. And this will take 3 breaths into the upper dantian, 3 breaths into the middle dantian, 3 breaths into the lower dantian. Once we finish that cycle, that pace, we will then hold our breath for 9 count and then release. And then you and your truth teller can realize what is true or what is not, discern what is true or what is not, and feel what is true or what is not. It's not for me to share with you or describe it. It's for you to. And this is how Jade and I always share material with people. They have that realization. It's not an inner scripting of a construct where human beings tend to lean on, well, you said it, so I imagined it. Well, in reality, what if I did, and you had the imagination that created that generated that energy? Is that a bad thing? No. That just shows me how in tune you are with your higher level of consciousness. But I personally have been taught from my teachers, 3 pure ones that teach me every day, the experiential moment, that realization is epiphany. It's like a mic drop. It's a light bulb. And so how does that happen? It comes from the feeling. And so when you go through anything that Jade and I share with you, it's already realized. And when you evoke it by repeating whatever exercise it is we do, you just turn into the Christmas tree. Yeah. So, cycle-wise, it's quite simple. You want to just shift into a deeper level of consciousness by, you can either eyes open or eyes closed, create a sensory perception that is greater or lesser than determined by your own intention. I see everything the same, eyes open or closed. The amplitude, the magnitude, the energy from anything and everything, eyes open or eyes closed, is the same for me. So it's for you to decide what you prefer. If you follow my lead, it will be realized. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to get you to breathe in 3 times into the upper dantian. So it's quite simple. You're breathing into the upper dantian. Remember, when you speak it, that's it. The separation is nothing. We're not talking about anything else. We're not going, my upper dantian is like this. It's so beautiful. It's so you don't have to do any of that. It's just like your attention intention is just breathing into the upper dantian. This is a rippling effect of your consciousness that goes past the very limited construct of your physicality, your physiology, your psychology, your realization that you are more than this body. When you believe you are not of this body, what can harm you? Mic drop. So, 3 times in the upper dantian, 3 times in the middle dantian, 3 times in the lower dantian. And for reference to anyone, brain, heart, gut. But you don't even have to say that. And you don't even have to do anything. You just acknowledge it. Lead, follow my lead. And then at the end, you will inhale and hold the last breath for 9 count and then exhale. Are we ready? I think that's a green light from what I can see. Inhale. 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 Hold for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Now, what you're experiencing is a little taste of what we call a fusion of the secret source. This is what we call chi packing, which might be more commonly revealed in other practices. But this cluster of wave that you're experiencing, that is you have generated by moving the breath, taking that chi and infusing it into the very core and essence of your physical body, right down to generating the heat that you're experiencing right now. That is how powerful you are. And eyes open or closed, it's legit 100. Yeah. And so now just your respiration, breathing in and out through your mouth at your own pace, you can feel the effects of this amber, I'll call it an experience. So now you've instantly taken wave and clustered it into a thought, feeling, and emotion. So it's realized in whatever color, whatever image, whatever. You have generated that within your physical body, and you are the master keeper creator of your reality. Whoa. And so just respiration as we know it now is more heightened. Your sensory perception is now dialed in, supercharged. And so all of a sudden you're experiencing this extra sensory perception that you created. Yeah. You generated. You cultivated. Oh, so powerful. And now I'm enjoying that also, that euphoric, buzzy feeling that takes place. Whew, my goodness. So I'd like to thank my divine, delectable co-host, Jade. And I'll leave her where she is. She's kind of like out of her body right now. But that's a good thing, because that's where you need to be, because that's consciousness. That's a realization. And I am on the verge of Rocket Man myself. I'm sorry. Yes, I am already out. I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but that's why I'm the Sifu. And so realize this, experience this, infuse this into your very essence. And this is you leveling up, guys. Your power, your knowing, your realization. It's all yours, and it will always be yours, and you will master it and become the master keeper creator of your reality. And my goodness, with that said, I am your humble servant and Sifu, That was Master Sun Quinn. And I will see you on the next one, guys.